So, number 8, Kion committee number 8. You have to work just off the center line. So sometimes it's very difficult to work off that center line, especially when you're beginning. So come off the center line, keep on the center line, but your back leg. Then go back to the other side of the center line. Then forward. Then in. Depending on how tall the person is, come up. And then flow down, Ryusui. Breakdown. We obviously start with our Tatai Saichan. So when we move to the side this time, we're actually coming rearwards like a nagash, but still trying to maintain our Tatai Saichan. Then the next one comes to the head. So then we move backward, back to where we came from, and cover. Then we go in. Again, trying to use our Tatai Saichan. Then we move into Kibidachi or Shikidachi. Underneath the spleen, underneath the diaphragm. Yeah, using the bicep with the fist, sasei, to help, to support. Yes? Depending on how tall the target is, then we come up. Most probably won't need to go totally up. I do when I'm with a taller person, so I have to come higher to move in, to get their balance, to take their balance. Then I go back into my Tatai Saichan and sink. Not push, do not push. Sink down. Then out. And up. This is quite difficult to move from one Tatai Saichan to another Tatai Saichan in having confidence with it in a small area. So if you are starting to do this kumite, then back, then 45 degrees, then through 90 degrees. Then in and out. So it exaggerates the body movement, but in that way you can actually feel more. It's obvious where you need to position your body and where to attack. So stands here. So when we actually move in on this, it's to the femoral artery here, and you can actually start doing your kuzushi. Can you see Sensei Kerry start to, with this hit, he will start to move, start to lose his balance. It's not just hitting the target, but you're trying to initiate the taking of his balance. Yeah, so we're here. Yeah, here, moving. Then bring the back leg in. And up. Can you see how Sensei Kerry's head's moving that way in his balance? Now I have to bring the rest of his body to it. Okay, back again. So, If you're doing it 45 degrees, it gives it a more pronounced direction, more pronounced attack. Yeah. Also, here, where have you seen this move before? Seishan kata. Yeah. Some of you still practice some of the first ippons that we had in the UK. Yeah. So here, Junzuki stance. So Jodan. Yeah, I'm sure some of you remember that. So if you can think of that one on this ippon, when you do your number 8, think of Seishan kata. So it helps you put some rationale behind these arm movements. Yeah. Okay. So hip. It's not just arm; it's your hip. Your hip and your elbow before you go in. Yeah. If you want to also put some more meaning behind this, or an alternative, but this isn't official, yeah, but it has a drastic effect on, then you can whiplash their arm out the way. Officially, just the hip, then in for the strike. But just try a couple, you using your hip and your arm. When you strike, use your knuckle in. Make sure you're covering all the way through. When I take this hand away, my knee's going to take the place of it. In and up. Like a wave coming up the sea wall and then coming back down again. Up and down. Another involved Kion, but if it wasn't a challenge, we wouldn't be doing them. So, and it teaches you lots of various ways to achieve the target, to achieve the conclusion, to achieve the result. Yeah.
So, Uke's part in number 8. The attacks are pretty straightforward. First attack is Chudan, again create distance to punch Jodan. So not a lot more required of you than that. From your own personal point of view, then obviously taking good distance to start with, making an effective attack, and then making the correct distance for the Jodan technique. That's pretty much your lot in this little situation. For your own personal training, the first attack is Chudan, so a good idea to make some sort of Jodan defense. The second attack is Jodan, so good practice to make Chudan defense. And cover the solar plexus, because when Tori comes in with the Empai strike, that's roughly where they're going to strike. So if you're unprotected, it's going to be a bit of a shock. As Sensei mentioned, there is a lift. As the Empai comes in, it comes in underneath the diaphragm, and you should feel this extension, this lift up. And then there is this downward. It's not a push, you're not going backwards, you're being compressed down. And eventually your legs can't hold anymore and you find yourself going backwards. So if your partner is pushing you out rather than compressing you down, something's not quite right, and that's something they need to work on. The whip, as you've probably seen in the video, maybe not official syllabus, but very effective. And if you've got to a good standard with the official version, try this because it's very effective.
So obviously the attack will be coming underneath this arm. It's not a good hit in the arm. Ideally you would have hit him in the solar plexus, but you're trying to hit the diaphragm and lift the diaphragm up. So you're coming up underneath the diaphragm. When you're learning this, it might slip out of position, or you can't quite get low and lift underneath. So if it is a little bit too complex, then come underneath the arm to start off with. And as you lift, can you see how you've got the connection with the arm now? So it might be as you're learning it, instead of getting frustrated about this coming underneath and covering, if it slips, then carry on using lift and use the arm. Yeah? Instead of the technique being ruined, just carry on with it. Yeah, and then learn from the small mistakes. Yeah, refine it. And when you actually come down, yeah, then try and do it as gently as possible. So if you start off just sinking and down, but just try and do it hardly touching. Hardly touching. You'll still have the same effect. So conclusion. Try and use your Tate Seishan. Try and use the center line. Yeah, very, very small but significant moves. Totally changes the orientation of where you're trying to defend. But try and use your Tate Seishan. As I said before, if you're learning, then try and use 45 degrees. Yeah, it does help. And then as you become more and more experienced with it, start cutting the angles down until it's a very small move. Like everything in Wado, it's subtle moves. It's not dramatic big moves, just small moves. The minimal amount of movement to actually capture what you're trying to do, to defend or to attack. Small changes in direction. And that's what you're going to get out of this Kion, the small moves. So you're going to get frustrated with it. I know I did. but you'll gradually get there. Try and refine it and try and help with the tips that we've given you as well. So just enjoy doing it. Don't get frustrated. And if you make a mistake, carry on. Don't stop and go back. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then afterwards, think about what you've just done and where it slightly went wrong or could have been better. It's a little bit like a science lesson. You have a method, a result, and a conclusion. So try and use your partner work. Any partner work that you do, I'll start off this leg, they start off that leg, they attack with this, we do this, And the result is, yeah, you are taking him, you're moving in, you are breaking his balance, you are finding how to punch using your body, you're trying to use your hip. So the conclusion, was it good? Did it feel right? Did I use the minimum amount? If not, think about where you went wrong and then do the experiment again. But don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going.